Sal Paolantonio, ESPN NFL reporter. He was at Eagles-Giants last week. Want to get his thoughts on what he saw in that game, and then a look ahead to the Eagles and the LA Chargers. Sal Pal, welcome back, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, Mike. It's always interesting when we approach week 4 because now the preseason blues or cobwebs have been shaken off.
Yeah, this is this is kind of the new thing in the NFL, right? That the first 3 weeks are kind of the extension of the preseason. We start to see teams tighten up now.
Yep, September is the new August. So on Sunday we turn the page to week 4 of the NFL. So this is where you find out a team's identity.
So identity of the Eagles: 39 carries for 193 yards. Is that the new identity, or is that a one-week wonder?
Boy. We would all love that. We'd all love that. No, the identity of this football team is 2 things. It's Carson Wentz on offense, and it's Jim Schwartz on defense. And I would have said, Mike, on defense it was the front 4. But without Fletcher Cox, I don't know what's going to go on with this front 4. I just think this team is so undermanned defensively that they need to score some points offensively to carry this defense for a couple of weeks.
I saw your colleague Tim McManus over there at ESPN. He tweeted that after Cox and Hicks went out, they gave up 7.7 yards per play. It was in the 3s. Before that, they gave up 24 points without those guys. The fact that they won that game kind of masked that was a big loss. And how do they replace Fletcher this week? That's going to be Jim Schwartz's big assignment.
Yep, there's no question. The Giants started to rack up the yards, and the loss of Hicks and Cox were the tipping points. They went into the game undermanned by 4 DBs, and then the loss of your best and highest paid defensive player and one of your most active and productive linebackers was a killer. It was an absolute killer. So you get Hicks back, but you just don't know. A middle linebacker who needs to run on a bad ankle is always a problem. It's problematic. So we'll see what you get out of Hicks.
Sal, let me ask you about the left guard situation. I mean, is there a stigmatism on guys that you're just a backup? Is this why they don't want to say, Wisniewski, you're our best option, you're the guy? I mean, what's so hard about them coming out and naming a guy at that spot?
Well, because I think they're just trying to find somebody who can be productive. And you know, Wisniewski is a good pass blocker, but he's not a good run blocker. Chance Warmack, I'm not sure what the heck he does well. I'm just not sure what he does well. Samulo's got to go back to the drawing board. So they've got to rotate some guys in there and hope somebody plays better than they have. But the problem now is you put wear and tear on Kelsey on one side and Peters on the other. The 2 Jasons have to make up for the inefficiency of the left guard.
Hey, do they like their ROI so far on the wideouts that they brought in?
Yes, I think they do. I mean, you could say this, Mike. The Carson Wentz connection with Alshon Jeffrey with 7 seconds left, with 1 second left on the clock, setting up the 61-yard field goal to win it. That's an ROI right there. That's a nice return on your investment right there. If you can have a wide receiver win 1 or 2 games for you a season, that's pretty good. And so far, I'm going to say Alshon Jeffrey, you know, with his quarterback, Carson Wentz, they won that game with a little help from their kicker, for sure.
No doubt. That throw he makes, Sal, to Alshon is a great throw. I mean, he rips that thing in there. That's not an easy throw, but is there some concern still from Carson taking shots down the field? He had Jeffrey a couple of times. He hasn't really connected with Smith yet. I mean, that's still the Achilles heel, is him taking shots down the field.
You know, Mike, over the summer, this magazine in North Dakota, Bison Illustrated, asked me to write a piece. Now, at some point, I want you to write it down. I want folks to write it down. Just go on to Bison Illustrated's website and find the piece that I wrote about Carson Wentz over the summer. It was the lead story in the magazine, and you can find it online. It's very easy to find. It's a long piece. But I talked to 3 people, Ron Jaworski, Greg Cosell, the executive producer of the Matchup Show, and Dick Vermeil about Carson Wentz. And Dick Vermeil, the first words out of his mouth were deep ball. He must improve his deep ball. He must put pressure on the deep secondary. If he doesn't do that, they're going to flood the underneath zones, and that's going to defeat what they want to do. And so far, unfortunately, Coach Vermeil has turned out to be prophetic.
Yeah.
In a major way. Now, we saw he struggled with the deep ball last year, number 11. And that throw where he had a wide-open Alshon Jeffrey screaming down in front of the Eagles bench, I think it was in the first half, if I'm correct, that ball was thrown out of bounds. That ball was not even close.
Not close. And
that
the one
was not close.
He threw one to Torrey Smith, too, and they got a pass interference on it, but you could have made the argument that was an uncatchable pass.
Yeah, and he had Torrey Smith open in the first series week 1 against Washington. So he's missed 3 big downfield throws. That's going to catch up with you. I don't know what the issue is, but it needs to be fixed. I mean, I'm not that qualified to say it's mechanical or it's mental or what it is or it's the trajectory of the football. I'd have to go back and look, but it's clear it's a number of problems that they need to address, and he needs to get better at it or he's going to be a middle-of-the-road quarterback. I hate to say it, but that's the case.
By the way, I just tweeted out that article from Sal Pal from the Bison Illustrated on Carson Wentz, so you can check that out at Mike Gill Show on Twitter. He's liking Ertz, though. That's apparent. Ertz seems like he has stepped his game up and kind of elevated into the next tier in terms of tight end. So it seems that he feels very comfortable with Zach Ertz.
Yep, it does. But then you're turning it into a Phillip Rivers, Tony Romo offense. Phillip Rivers loved Antonio Gates. What did it ever get them?
Right.
Tony Romo fell in love with Jason Witten.
Huh.
What did it ever get him? You can't run your offense through the tight end. I like a tight end is that position in that offense. A tight end is designed to move the chains. It's designed to be a security blanket. It's not designed to get you explosive plays.
It's a good point, yeah. I want to get your take now. I know you've been around the game a long time and been around Sproles a lot, and what the loss of Sproles means to this offense and how they move forward without him.
Well, he's just a class act. A great leader, Mike, a class act. Did anything and everything for the team to win. He will be missed big time. But I like what I've seen from Corey Clement. They need it, in my view, they need to show the kind of balance on offense that they had in the second half. And I don't know if you heard the press conference with Doug Pederson post-game, but I asked Pederson some pointed questions, and one of them was specifically how John DeFilippo and Frank Reich on the sideline were advising Doug Pederson in the second half on run plays to call. And Pederson told me it was the first time that he asked for in-game input, and it really paid off. And so if they've got a running back by committee, they've got a running game coach by committee, that's fine with me as long as it's productive.
Hey, I'm glad you brought that up because I've been saying I don't know what to say about Doug as a overall head coach, but if he handed the play calling over to somebody else, how much stock do you put in to the players liking to play for their head coach? Whether he's a good game caller or X or an O, how much stock is it in that the players like the guy?
Well, I think I don't know the answer to that, but I'll say this, in today's NFL, you have to be a consensus builder, and that's why Doug Pederson is here. And if you saw my reports prior to the game in Kansas City, I talked about how Carson Wentz has been more of a collaborative player within the game plan and the play calling, and that Doug Pederson has embraced that. Rare for a second-year player, rare for a second-year quarterback. But Pederson is willing to listen, and I think players like that. I know his coaching staff likes that. And I've said over and over, Mike, and I've said it to you, and I've said it on this program, which, by the way, you do a wonderful job. Everybody agrees that I talked to. I said I'm on the Mike Gill show, and they all say the same thing. I think the bottom line is this, Mike. He's the best coach for this team at this time, with all young players developing, a core group of veterans. The way he held this team together last week was remarkable. The last 2 weeks, all the players that they've lost to injuries, the dictionary definition, when you put your picture in the dictionary next to the word leader, the definition is hold things together in adversity. That's the basic job of any leader. Can you hold it together when things are going bad? And when you've had all these injuries, and then you had the challenge of what happened last week with the anthem, Pederson kept the team together. And that's, I think, a very, very important job, part of what your job is.
Okay, Sal, before we let you run, I know you're getting on the plane tomorrow. The biggest key, and how's this one turn out? You're traveling across the country playing in a soccer stadium.
Yeah, well, I'm not going out to San Diego. L.A. I'm not going out there. They're still trying to figure out exactly where I'm going, but I know I'm traveling tomorrow. Mike, I think this is a tough game for the Eagles. It's a long trip. San Diego's season is on the brink. They're not going to be playing, it looks like, with Fletcher. They're going to be playing without Fletcher Cox, it looks like, and who knows what condition their middle linebacker is going to be in. And their secondary is all banged up. This is a really, really tough game. And I think the Eagles will lose this game. I do. I think they will lose this game 24-20.
Okay, a tough trip out to L.A. Sal Paolantonio, check him out, of course, on Sunday Countdown and the NFL Week number 4. Sal,
I'm on social media now, Mike. You've got to promote now that the old guy's on Instagram. I'm on. It's Sal Pal ESPN on Instagram, and what I do is I post a lot of videos from the sidelines, and I post a lot of instant analysis with my crew at NFL Films, Greg Cosell and Lou Riddick, and people can get sort of an instant take on NFL games around the country. It's Sal Pal ESPN on Instagram.
Okay, Sal Pal ESPN on Instagram. We sent out the link for the Bison Illustrated story as well, and another edition of Sal Pal in the books, my friend. We'll talk next week.
It was a pleasure, Mike. Thanks so much.